Hello and welcome to the United Devil with me, JB. Hope we are all doing really well this Monday, the 23rd of June. I can't actually believe we are at the end of, well, nearly at the end of June. I hope you all had a really good weekend in whatever we've been up to this weekend. Now, topic of conversation this week is there isn't really a lot happening in the transfer window as such, but there are still lots of things to talk about. So we've got garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, onana, Wilcox, and what are we doing? What the hell are we doing now? We really need to start getting on with the transfer. So not only trying to get players in, but trying to get players out the door. Now we are begging with our pleading pot out there, basically saying that we need to sell to buy. So in Bumo, if we get that across the line, I don't think we can do anything else until we sell, and then we can buy. Now Wilcox and everyone else at the club seems to be relaxed. That's the message coming out of the club, that everyone is relaxed. Everybody is completely chilling it. Now, we have to bear in mind that other clubs have been doing their business. I know we've had the Club World Cup, but we don't need to wait until the window opens to do business. So I think today we need to look at, are we actually moving quickly, or is it just another Glazers transfer window? Now, I'm of the opinion, and you may disagree with me, feel free to disagree. Everything you hear is going to be my opinion, and my opinion based on supporting the club over nearly 40 years and what I've seen over the last 10 to 12 years. So what immediately strikes me is how slow we are, and I do think that we are waiting until the new window opens for PSR. We can still be lining up deals in between them, but I genuinely believe that this is another Glazer window. Now, if people are under the illusion so far that this is a really good window, I think what United have done really well and the Glazers have done extremely well this year, again, is pulling the wool over people's eyes by people who are already investing in signings that we haven't actually made yet. So we've got one player in, and we do need them to come on pre-season. Now, there are lots of other people that I've seen who are kind of losing their um, on the basis that we do need them in for the tour. Now, I do kind of agree with that we do need them on the tour. We need a really good tour this year so we can actually hit the ground next year after an abysmal season last year. But I'm of the opinion that because we don't have European football, we only have domestic football this year, I think they're going to get a lot more time on the training ground. So last year it was game after game after game, and we didn't really have a lot of time to play. Now, not that that's a good enough excuse, and maybe that is the plan. Is the fact that we don't have European football, and we're going to have a lot more time during the week, which is quite pathetic, really. But at least we're going to have that time. So we are, I think we are falling and stumbling into a transfer window where it's going to rumble on. So the Glazers can save a million here and a million there, because ultimately that goes into the Glazers pocket, and the Ineos are a little bit of a joke. Wilcox, I don't think is really to blame. I think he's actually doing an okay job, but we really need to up what we do. Now, in respects of that, in Burma, I think he will hopefully start to to get over the line, and we'll get a here we go in the next week or so. A deal has taken nearly 5 weeks. Now we need to bear in mind that we need to sell players. So it leads me on to Rashford. Now, Rashford, as much as he hasn't been playing really well and he's fallen out with the club, I kind of, as I've said before, I think I do, as much as I don't know the player, I don't know what he's like. I can only talk about him from my own opinion as to what he kind of portrays himself on the pitch. Now he hasn't been great, hasn't covered himself in glory, but do I think he deserves? And I'm not player FC at all. I think he needed to do more on the pitch, and I think he surrounds himself with terrible, terrible people. But what I don't agree with is that Amarin leaving him out to dry and kind of calling him out. Now, what that's done is that has devalued the play, which I think is a bit of an own goal. And no, he's not been playing particularly well, but what is he supposed to do? So he's now trying to find himself a move. He's trying to flaunt himself around United and not. They're not the ones. There's been reports of Real Madrid. There's been reports of other clubs, but Rashford seems to be doing this himself. So, I kind of, as much as he's been playing bad, and I do think in the situation, I do think the club and the player do need to split up. I don't think either party want to come back together. I don't think Rashford particularly wants to come back to the club, and I don't think the club want him. So the fact that he's prepared to find himself a new club. The only downside is I don't know if he wants to take a pay cut now. As much as United have damaged, I think the value of the player, he's not done great himself, and the fact he still wants the wage, he's not played for that wage. He has signed a contract, and United, if they were a big club, irrespective of the contract, would try to move this player on. Unfortunately, with a couple of years left on his deal, I think this saga is gonna be a protracted saga. Rashford, I think that I don't know what people's opinions are of the player. I don't blame the player as such. I just think that he needs to go. But the fact he's still under the illusion that he's worth is 300 grand a week, I think is absolutely, it's just a laugh. But I think he needs to go. I think he's going to go out on loan. I think that he's going to end up not where he wants to. I think he's going to have to end up going to like an Everton or a Villa. And there's no disrespect to them. They finished higher up the league than us. If he wants to play for England, then he's definitely going to have to find that move. Now, Sancho, on the other hand, we're talking about a player who, in my opinion, has already left. He's already left the club. I think he's played one season in the last 4 to 5 years. I don't know him personally, but from what I've read, what I can see on the player, I know people are Sancho FC, and I'm gutted for the club and for me personally because I like the player. I wanted him to work it out the club, but ultimately, I just think he's taking the piss out of the club. I think that he's taking the mick out of the players. I think that he's taking the mick out of the fan base, and I just think that he's never wanted to be here. I think he came for the money. He's a Chelsea fan apparently, and he didn't want to go to him. I think there's been a conversation there whereby Chelsea have possibly said to him, "Look, we don't need to pay for you. If you don't sign, you can basically run down your contract and you can come here for free next year." There's talk of Juventus, which I think is kind of petered out a bit. There's also talk of Napoli, but again, Italian clubs don't want to pay the fee and the wages. Sancho, I'm not entirely surprised that no one wants to pay him 250,000 that he steals every single week. So it's going to be interesting what the club can do there. I think he's going to have to go in a cut price deal. Now, the important thing for the players that are mentioned, and we'll get on to garnacho as well. So it's just the club's really important that they don't come back. Now, the problem with that, if they come smiling in, walking in to the changing room, basically at the beginning they're going to be smiling on tour. That's basically gonna impact the rest of the team. It's going to impact the club. We already look completely weak. We already look like we can't do you know things once again. And I just think that we again we are being hoodwinked by the Glazers. They are put all this stuff out, and we eat it up. So it's really important that we get these deals done. Now we take ages to get deals done, and we need, in my opinion, to get four players out. So Rashford, Garnacho needs to go, Sancho, and Onana. Now Garnacho, as you've probably seen all over the weekend, seen him he's basically done a massive up yours to, in my opinion, the fans. Now I am gutted again about this because I defended that player. I've defended him on Facebook. I've defended him all over the shop because I thought that as a young player, how could you come into a club at 18 years old, come into a team with no leaders, come into a team, there's no efficiency in there, there's toxicity, there's nothing in that club for him. When the likes of Beckham came in, when the likes of Giggs, they had leaders in that club. They had stability. But Garnacho, he didn't. So I stand by. I stood by what I said. Where I think that he had the drive. He wanted to do something. Now, how foolish do I look? On the basis that what he did on the weekend, I think, was a big up yours to fans, to me, to people that have defended him. Now, all these people that have said no, he's got an issue. He's not that great. You know, are they right? And I think I'm sad to basically say that I now look a bit of a prat. And I think they're right. I think he's petulant. I think he's been ill advised. He basically wants to leave the club. And I think we're going to have to take a cut price deal. So I don't know if there are clubs in his ear to basically say, look, you need to do these stunts, get the value down, and you can basically leave. So I think again the club is just ruining these players. They are manipulating this fan base, and we just look completely weak. We just look like we haven't got a clue. And he's going to be another player that's going to go out the door when, valuation wise, it looked like he was worth 60 million, which now I think is absolutely laughable. Rashford, when we had the opportunity, I'm sure there was some acorns and seeds of doubt there, but we still give him a massive, massive contract. And now we just look like a bunch of fools. So that brings me on to Onana as well. So Onana, I never wanted him to come. I thought the keeper we had was amazing here for 10 years. So Eric Ten Hag, I think he absolutely screwed us over. Onana obviously has a contract, but at what point as a club, do we allow player power? So this is player power. Now, this is just my opinion on it. You may think to yourself, actually, he's got a contract to the club. It's our fault. Again, wages were high. I do wonder when we scout players what we actually see. So we've got a keeper who can catch cold, and by all accounts, we are not looking for a keeper because he won't go. So what that means is that player power FC is in again, and Onana stays within the sticks when there are opportunities out there for a goalkeeper this year. And because he doesn't want to go, the club is powerless to stop him. A big club would just say to him, look, you're not going to play next year. And as bad as that is, we would kick him out of the club. Not kick him out of the club, but sort of force him out of the club. However, he's just sitting on that contract. I'm sure other teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, it absolutely pains me to say that other clubs who used to be our competitors, I would love to say that Liverpool and Arsenal and City are now our competitors, but we are nowhere near those, and they're strengthening their team. So we've got Onana who won't go. Rashford, who is just, if he doesn't go, I just don't know what we're going to do with Rashford. Garnacho, who is devaluing himself as we speak, and some club is basically going to get an absolute steal of a deal, irrespective of his petulance. There is a talent there, which is just, it's just another failing of the club and a failing of the player. And Sancho, who is just I just think that situation is just so, it is just sad. I think it's sad for the player. I think it's sad for the club. I think it's sad for the player who he doesn't particularly want to. I don't think he wants to play football. I just think he wants to earn what he wants to earn and go play on his Xbox. So good luck to him. I mean, I don't wish ill on any of these players. I don't know these players. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're great people. But in terms of the club, I just want them out. I've watched this club for over 30 years, 38, 39 years. I've lived through the glory days. I supported them just before Ferguson. I remember the 80s. I remember when we were awful and then we started to win leagues. And Fergie would just, these players would be gone. Now, do I want to keep harking on back to the glory days? But I do think it's important. I still think is, as much as we don't want to go back to the likes of Keane and Giggs and Scholes and Becks and all those sorts of players, I do think it's really important to understand that history of period of why we did the things we did and how successful that we were, because we need these players to aspire to do what we did in past. Now, the players of the 90s, how do you think they got there? Because they aspired to be the players of the 60s, 70s, the Busby Babes. So I think it's really important that these players try to be themselves, but at the same time, understand the history of this club, what it means to play for this club. But for whatever reason, we seem to have bought Mercs and we've not bought professional players. We've not brought players in who are wanting to play for the badge. I think it's so important to play for the badge. And even if they don't want to play for the badge, they play for themselves. They have respect for the fans. I think they have respect for themselves and respect for the club. But for examples, maybe not Onana, because is it his fault that he's awful? No, we should have scouted better. And Ten Hag ultimately, not just his fault, but ultimately screwed us over. So I think this transfer window is potentially going to be an absolute shambles. We do need to get these players in, as many players as we can in. We need to sell players out. Now, to that end, we are today, we need a striker, and we are being linked to Moise Keane. So if you don't know who Moise Keane are, I did have Moise Keane on Pro Evo, and such a potential of a player. He played for Everton, Juventus, I think PSG at some point as well, and he's done the rounds now. Moise Keane just comes across as being a really cheap deal, kind of a wish kind of version of a striker. I think there's potential there. I think he scored quite a few goals this season for Fiorentina, but I wouldn't touch this player. I think he's another Rashford type of player. I think he blows hot and cold. I just don't think that he is the experience that we need. Again, I don't think he's a learner. I think he's a little bit older now, 24. 25. He's come to the Premier League once, and I don't think he's done it. That doesn't mean that he can't. And if the player did come to the club, then I would have my fingers crossed and hope that he could fill his potential. But Moise Keane for me is an absolute no, and it just smells of just trying to do it, on the cheap. Now, Muani has also been mentioned as well. So there's another, in my opinion, another player who's been overhyped, gone to PSG, and he's just not been in that team. And PSG again are looking to offload another player. So are we going to be the dustbin for PSG? We seem to be PSG's bitch when it comes to players. We gave them however much we gave them last year for Ugarte, and we seem to want to buy their all of their casts off. So Miwani again for me. I mean, there's such an opportunity for strikers out there. There's so many strikers that we should just go and get. But again, we won't, because we don't act like a big club. We're looking to save a penny here, a penny there. And I just believe some of these signings are going to basically fall on what the Glazers want to do, what they want to spend. Is the money there? I mean, if you look at how we do our business in regards to PSR, so we are actually fine for PSR because of the way we manipulate our accounts. So we have two accounts. So we have an offshore Seychelles, I think, account, and then we have a UK account. So what we do for PSR, we manipulate our accounts, but in terms of cash, we don't have cash because we owe so much in debt that a lot of our cash just has to go and service that debt. So even though for PSR we're absolutely fine, we don't have any cash. So what we're doing is we're waiting for our new financial year so we can roll over those accounts and then try to get some deals done. Unless we sell players, and the money that I think we thought we were going to get for Rashford, Sancho is quickly sort of ending, and quickly we're not going to be able to, I don't think, get as much cash as we can now. Garnacho again is an absolute open goal, or was an open goal, but because of the way that we're behaving, the slowness that we do things, that cash that we could have got for him is going to be lower and lower and lower. So we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We are 3 weeks, I think, away from the preseason tour. We do deals in about 5 weeks. We've got 4 players, really 3 that we need to go. And it just smells that we're going to wait until the end of the window instead of acting like a big club to get these deals done. What we're going to do is we're going to wait till the end of the window. We're going to act like we've always done in the last 10 years, but we're going to hide behind this is a new window. This is a new way to do stuff. We've not done stuff like this before. And it is basically just the same old. So season is going to be impacted again. I really don't think they care about coming top 4. I think it's basically just a smoke screen. And Amarin is on a hiding to nothing, really. If the transfer window is going to go the way that I think it is, the cycle is going to continue, and Amarin will be sacked by October, and we're just going to do the cycle again of sacking a manager. The knives will be out for him, irrespective of whether he gets plays in. I think he's going to be expected to work with the crap that we've got, and we're going to end up again finishing 10th and another season. So unless things change, I don't. I would love to be proved wrong. What I really want to happen is I really want to be proved wrong. I want to be proved wrong. I want Ineos and the Glazers to prove me wrong. I want them to prove the fan base wrong. I would love for them to announce all these deals and I'm wrong, and we finish 4th. But the way that the season is already shaping up, another transfer window for the Glazers, slow in action, and we'll get our plays in that we'll overpay for, and then that's it for another season. So I'm just not. I'm just. I lose words. I really do. I lose words for yet another wasted opportunity. There's so many players out there for us to get, but inevitably we will, unless things change, going to end up with the same old, same old. So other than that, there's not much else coming out of the club. So which again, no targets, no anything coming out of this club. So I'm waiting with bated breath to see what happens over the next week. So if there's anything that does break, I will jump on. I'd love you to give the video a like, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about the transfer window. If you know I'm just being an old git who thinks that the club isn't going to do well. You know, I find it very difficult to be. I find it easy to be pessimistic, which I don't want to be. I want to be positive. I want a new club. I want us to do really, really well. But so far, same old, same old. So on that note, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Anything happens, I will jump back on and let you guys know. So on that note, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.